Hello everybody, yes, I'm back. I considered for a while to make a video about why I hadn't been making videos for such a long time, but now I decided to skip that. So let's jump straight in. No, before we start off, funny story. I met a childhood friend almost a year ago. Sorry it took so long. And yeah, I found he's following my YouTube channel. And he was apparently a bit concerned about my personal safety. So he said, oh, I happen to have this isolation transformer in the basement and I would like to donate it to you. And yeah, this is it. And from the looks of it, it actually looks like he's bought it especially for me. Well, thanks Mark anyway. I'll turn it on for you. It's got a beautiful sound. Listen. Whoa. Yeah, can set the voltage on it. Beauty. Oh, and the monitor is flickering if I switch it on and off. Right, so today's topic is actually a basement update and a bit of a driveway update, so let's go there. I start here with my new stationary battery, which features the old Polo LFP cells, 2010 vintage. Yeah, they lost most of their capacity, but this pack is still good for like 5-6 kilowatt hours, so good enough for now, and I keep swapping in better cells if I discover one cell that's specifically bad. Yeah, so this is also a nice test bench for my 16 channel BMS. So we have 96 cells in series, and therefore we have 6 modules in series here, all blinking away merrily. We have a circuit breaker, and the shelf is also earthed. Should something, because this is all grid connected, so should something touch the shelf, at least it's gonna trip the RCD breaker. And then the cables bugger off through all of the basement over there. And let's go and check that out. Right, so here we are in the control central. So up above we've got a 5 kilowatt 3-phase hybrid inverter. Hybrid means it's a solar and battery inverter. So it's got 2 MPP inputs for a solar array down here and also a battery input for a battery. And then we've got some communication here. This is Modbus TCP for acquiring or for control and acquiring some values. And this is CAN, and we kind of simulate a BYD battery block, which is nowhere inside. We just simulate it logically. Finally, we've got the grid connection here. And I think this also has an emergency function. Should the grid ever fail, we could supply ourselves from the battery and solar and so on, but I don't think I'll ever need that, despite of what some people are saying. Down here we've got the control central. Let's go over it from left to right. So here we've got a changeover relay, and it selects whether the hybrid inverter here is connected to the stationary battery that we've seen before, or to the car's battery that well, we won't really see, but I can show you what it looks like outside later on. Then here we've got a couple of terminals, not very interesting. Here we've got 2 fuses for the CCS high voltage connection. Then down here we've got a high voltage supply, which which kind of simulates the pre-charge that is required by the CCS protocol. And then here we've got the heart and soul of the whole thing. That's a Beagle board computer, which has lots of communication inputs. Where do we start? So it talks CAN, like I said, to the hybrid inverter to simulate a battery. It also talks via Ethernet to the hybrid inverter to control it. It talks CCS via the CCS cable to get the car to communicate with it. It talks even more CAN via this control cable down there to the stationary BMS. It talks to Tibber to acquire the current electricity price, because we are on a what's it called, flexible tariff or whatever. here. So, for example, today the electricity is very expensive at roughly 50 cents per kilowatt hour. And last night it was a bit less expensive at 25 cents per kilowatt hour. So I set it to charge the stationary battery, and then we use last night's energy over the day to avoid the high prices. It also talks to the energy meter to find out whether we are taking or supplying energy to the grid, and it tries to keep the grid energy exchange at 0. And then, communication to the internet is here via this Wi-Fi. So here we've got the CCS connector, well known. It's designed for a couple of 100 amps, but we are only running this at like 15 amps peak. And here we have a switch with a little LED in it, and that's to stop the charging sessions if we want to drive away. And here we've got a closer look at said control computer again. So below here it's just a standard BeagleBone green Linux computer, and these can be had for like 40 euros or something. Runs a couple of Python scripts, and then on top here we've got my custom cape. And that mainly consists of communication. So we've got the two CAN buses right here. We've got the QCA chip for CCS power line communication right here. We've got some relay drivers here, and also an RS485 bus, because there's some inverters that require it for various purposes. And I think after a bit more testing and some minor adjustments, I'm going to start setting this board on the Open Inverter shop. Right, so here we've got the web front end of the system, and this day is kind of has it all. So you can see here in the evening we used electricity from the stationary battery to circumvent the high grid electricity prices. And then apparently at 1930 the grid electricity became cheap enough to use it, and we saved the energy remaining in the stationary battery for another time. Right, so over the whole night we are using grid energy, and then at some point I connected the car, and the changeover relays changes over to the car battery, and at night at what time is that? At 3:15 apparently we reached the threshold, so electricity became cheaper than the threshold we set, and we started charging the car from the grid. And then for a moment it became a bit more expensive again, so we paused charging and then we continue, and same the next day. Then the car was apparently full. I unplugged it and we switched back to the stationary battery here in blue. And we had some sunshine, and all the energy went into the stationary battery until it started to fill up and started derating the power into the battery. So here we see we kind of waste some energy into the grid that we're not being paid for. Right, and then here is the settings page. It's got various information items like the current PV power, which is not much at all. The yield, I think the PV system has been connected for 2 or 3 months now, and it's yielded that. Some data from the stationary battery and from the BMS and so on. And then here we have the state of the CCS system, outlet. And currently it's off because the car is not connected, and when the car is connected it's going to show a current demand and some intermediate states. And the last time the car was connected it was at 78%. Right, now here we've got the thresholds. So we will charge the car's battery maximum to 86% for better longevity. And we start charging the car's battery from the grid if the grid price drops below 2 euros per megawatt hour. And then this goes for both batteries, stationary and car. So only if price goes above 200 euros per megawatt hour, we start taking energy from the grid. Yeah, because only then in winter, only then it makes sense to do so. In summer, we don't have any threshold at all because we've got so much PV energy that we better use it ourselves, because otherwise we just feed it to the grid later on. So in summer, we've got hardly any draw from the grid at all. And it only draws some energy when we've got even negative prices over noon usually, if I want to charge the car more quickly. We also have a threshold for charging the stationary battery. That's also just interesting in winter. So at night when we've got wind blowing, usually prices are cheap. And because we have no sun energy over the day, we use grid energy for charging battery, and we can then take it out when grid electricity is more expensive. And we can also set the power at which it's being charged. Yeah, so that's how you kind of control it and use it all, and use it to optimize your personal electricity price. All right, so I think that should be enough for the re-entry into the YouTube world for today. I hope you liked today's topic, and if you're interested in the controller, like I said, it's going to show up in the shop shortly. And I think I'll link in the discussion thread down below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time, whenever that will be. Bye.